Welcome to a bullet journal video where I set up my bullet journal for budgeting. This video I'm going to set up for June, but I did want to flip through my May setup really quick so you can kind of see what I'm going for. I tried filming this setup before for May, but I didn't like it, so I decided I was gonna see how this worked out. So I have a calendar with a bunch of different expenses and payments. So I do Rover. I sold some stuff on Mercari and eBay this month. I have my paycheck allocations, and I've been really messing with this. As you can see, I have a bunch of notes that I put on sticky notes to put in there. I have my weekly check-ins, which are useful. I have my spending log, which has also been useful. I do need to update it because we are in the next week and I have, bought groceries. I have a couple of sticky notes here while I budget bi-weekly, primarily. I also want to put a monthly overview in here. So that's just to remind me what my variable expenses need to cover. And then I need to change an account, and I will talk about my accounts in another video. We are going to get started. I use Tombow mono drawing pens for my outlining. I actually use a different one. Was using a different one. I put it somewhere else. So I use Tombow mono drawing pens, which just are my favorite pens. Oh here, this is the correct one. I use this one for outlining, and I'm gonna go ahead and mark that. The reason I kind of have a specific one that I use for outlining is if I just use every pen to do outlines and lines like this, it will wear down the nib pretty quickly. So I have a designated pen that gets used for outlining, and I just have some washi tape that I marked it with. And then I also have the Tombow fuedenosuke hard tip, and then I have, I just got these, not that one, that one's old. I just got new ones because this is my favorite two colors from Tombow's dual brush pens, the N79 and the N89. They look really nice on the Leuchtturm paper. This is a Leuchtturm 1917 grid notebook in size A5. I've lost count of how many books that I have used from the brand. But yeah, we're just gonna get started. I'm gonna set up my budget page. I want to include my income, my fixed expenses, my variable expenses, my savings accounts, because I do have several different savings accounts that I am putting money into, and then a balance. And I did draw this out in pencil beforehand so that I knew where everything was going and I had the spacing all figured out. Editing Morgan here. I decided to add some voiceover because even though I sped up these segments, they're still very, very long. A lot of these sped up segments are at about 4 times speed, except for when the clip was especially long, then it was more. Here I am using a trick I learned from Shada Campbell, where if you pull the lines towards you while you're drawing them, they come out more straight. For this video, I am going to just be drawing out all of my spreads. I'm also going to be recording another video where I fill them in. And I'm sorry for moving around my journal so often, but I've found, and you might be the same way, I cannot write straight for the life of me, so this is going to be interesting. I put an expected, an actual, and the difference on the budget page, or at least I'm going to. I haven't actually done it yet. So let's see, that's 5 for each. Okay. And then when I was in elementary school, we learned that the triangle is the symbol for delta, which means change. And so I've been using that for ever now to kind of indicate the difference. Okay, so yeah, so we got expected, actual, and the difference here. Have you ever had something come up in your childhood that has just stuck with you? Like, I haven't been in first grade for nearly 20 years, and I still remember that. Some people I've seen list all of their bills individually. This is the first time my whiteout is going to make an appearance, and definitely won't be the last. I've seen people list out all of their bills, but because I have so many different savings categories, I run out of space that way, and I do want to have just like an overview on one page that I can refer to. So I just have bills, subscriptions, and other, and then I'm going to use the calendar spread to just keep track of what all they are. Some of the names of these categories don't quite fit their actual functions. For example, my gas category also includes things like car washes, and the business category includes shipping for non-business reasons. My savings categories are also a little bit weird. For example, my spending category will frequently have money spent from it during the month. Technically, I'm a zero-based budgeter. I don't need everything to equal out to zero at the end of the month, and it doesn't actually work out that way a lot of the time. And now I need to make my paycheck spread and my weekly check-in spreads, and then after that I will be doing my spending log. We're gonna try and do this straight. I don't think I'll be able to do it when it comes to the highlighting. The way that my work has their direct deposit system set up, I can actually choose up to, I think, 9 bank accounts to split my paycheck into. All right, these are a little bit wonkier than they normally would be. So on my last paycheck allocation spread, so for the first one, I had what I was allocating from my paycheck versus how much I would need for the rest of the month to kind of fill that category based on the budget that I had laid out. And then for the second one, I have my allocation from my total pay for those 2 weeks, and then how it was going to be split between my paycheck and then my Rover, Mercari, eBay income. And then now I'm going to be doing the account, and then what is coming from my paycheck, and then what is coming from my side income. On this page I labeled it other, but it's the same. My plan is to use the other column to show where I'm moving my money to from my business account and show what part of my paycheck that corresponds to. It's a lot easier to have like an emergency fund if I have an emergency fund account. I'm gonna go through and highlight these, and then I'll write the categories. I love highlighting things in my bullet journal with these warm gray markers. It just looks so good. My first line is going to be the total income from my paycheck and the other. So I'm going to highlight that one light gray. So I'm going to go ahead and write these category labels. The categories on the left-hand side actually correspond to the bank accounts that I separate my direct deposit into, as opposed to the categories that I use when I'm budgeting. I will be doing a video about the bank accounts that I use very soon. And then I have a notes section because these fit pretty well, and I didn't want to just like jam them together and have a big section at the bottom. And hopefully this notes section will take the place of the million sticky notes that I was using. Now we've got weekly check-ins. I think I'm gonna put that in cursive. So this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I do mess this page up pretty badly.
Before I realized that though, I grabbed my whiteout for the first appearance of my whiteout. I really like using whiteout, especially in my budgeting bullet journal, because things change so quickly and it's nice to have a way to fix it without just scribbling out whatever I need to change.
Did I do this wrong? Well, these gray highlights only needed to be at the top. So I'm just gonna tear that out. Unfortunately, this is a great page to pull out because it's glued in, but otherwise I might have gone back and reinforced the spine with washi tape. All right, we're gonna try that one more time.
So I'm mostly doing the same thing as I did the last time on this spread. One change that I'm making is I am not separating the columns with blank space this time. I am just using the line all the way across. I do also manage to make another mistake here. See if you can spot it before I do.
So this is where I get out my outline Tombow here.
Wait for it.
I did mess this up. Well, how am I gonna fix this? This is not a catastrophic, like, rip the page out and start over error, though, I don't think. I think what I'm just gonna do is really carefully draw a line there, and then I can include the total down here and my fixed expenses up there, and call it good. And I am actually going to put the dates in too, so that I will go to the front here, the very front. I did a year at a glance. I love the year at a glance page. I believe in the year at a glance page, but it's a great reference because we've got 6 to 12. We're actually gonna do week 23 through 26.
I started using week numbers as part of my bullet journal a couple of years ago now, and it's really stuck with me as something that's super useful.
I know a lot of people find year at a glance is tedious, but like I said, they are very useful to me.
I think a lot of people combine year at a glance with a future log, but I think future logs are better just as lists.
Great. So that's that formatted.
I added a place to keep track of rollover. I'm not actually sure if I'm going to have rollover or what I'm going to do with it, but the spot was open.
And then I might do something with this bottom space. That might also be notes.
I'm really enjoying the header style that I'm using in this journal, where the first level header is all caps, and then the second level header is this nice thick cursive.
I'm just gonna go ahead and put in the category names.
I made a pretty bold decision here to use all caps and put one letter per square, and I don't think I'm gonna do it again next month. The nice thing about the weekly check-in is that I don't actually need a lot of space for the values.
Okay, that was very long. I'm not sure I like the caps entirely, but we're gonna stick with it. Yeah, you can see entertainment goes out so far. But I'm gonna fill these out for the rest of them, and then we will move on to the spending log.
I cut here because it was just so much writing.
All right. Unfortunately, the spending log is also going to spend a lot of time on its side because there's a lot of line work that needs to go in here.
In this clip, I cut out about 5 rounds of me counting squares.
Okay. So I have date, description, account category, and cost.
I didn't work strictly left from right while I was putting the titles in here because I wanted description to take up as much space as was available to it. So I added the last categories going backwards and using the space that I knew that they would need.
Date, description, category, account, and cost. And these two are switched around from where they were in my last spending log, but that's fine. Here's another big time-consuming thing. I'm only going to do this one page because I don't want to film for that long, but I highlight every other line. It looks nice, and then it also is just a really easy way of distinguishing the lines from each other, and that's like less necessary in a notebook like this where it's gridded. And I chose gridded specifically because I want to put graphs in here, and you just haven't seen them. It's less necessary for a gridded notebook, but if you have a dot grid notebook, it's really useful. And this is something that you can do basically wherever you have a list. So you could do it on your weekly check-ins as well. If you're using color, this is great with like light colors. And then so I've been trying not to use lines in between columns because I just think it looks nicer. But since this is it's a ledger, the lines are really important. I am going to do that here, but I'm going to use my gray so that's a little less intense.
I'm still working on unifying the style of this notebook, but I do like the gray.
Perfect. So I'll flip through everything. And like I said, we're going to fill these out in another video, but take you through a flip through of my book, my setup. Hopefully this won't be too terribly long. But we have the June calendar, which also has days from May and July in there just to kind of square it off with space for notes. We have my budget, which includes an overview of my salary, my income, my fixed expenses, my variable expenses, what I'm putting into savings, and how that all comes out. We've got my paycheck allocation and what money from my paycheck goes towards each of these accounts, as well as what portion of my other income goes towards those accounts. And then we've got my weekly check-ins to kind of see how I'm doing in terms of money spent. And then my spending log, which is important for my weekly check-ins. And I am going to go through and erase all the pencil marks, but I don't want to do that on camera. If you liked this video and are interested in seeing more from me, including how I use these spreads, go ahead and subscribe. If you have any budgeting experiences that you wanted to share, please, by all means, put them in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it very much. Bye!
The original version of this video was like 45 minutes long. I'm very proud of my editing.